I live within walking distance of a petroleum pipeline, so I try and go and harvest the blackberry flowers every year before they mow. This is a pretty good year for blackberry flowers. I harvested about 8 cups. You're going to need gloves, and I like to pinch and twist. Pinch and twist. Once you get back to your spot, remove the leaves and the stems. Put a bowl upside down in a pot, and then a little jar in the middle, the flowers all around, water on the flowers, put the lid on upside down, and then put something cold on top. I wouldn't recommend frozen breakfast biscuits. I ended up asking my neighbor, and she let me borrow an ice pack. That system didn't work, so I put some spice bottles in a steamer jar, in that little jar right back in the middle, lid on upside down, more ice. I extracted this much, it's not much, and I managed to forget that I had a steam thing going, and I burnt all the petals to the bottom of my pot. Good thing I can try again next year. How do you tell the difference between a blackberry and a multiflora rose? Well, this is a blackberry. I look at the very center. It's got a little bit of green. This is a multiflora rose. It's mostly yellowish, and the stamen are a little different. It also has hips. Multiflora rose grow in kind of trellisy kind of patterns. They vine, while blackberries, they grow more in canes along the ground. The best thing for a bunch of chickweed, Knox Instant Fettuccine Alfredo.
Ample time to remind y'all, we don't need to build more dams. We just need to build that biodiversity. You hear? We don't need to build more dams. We need to build that biodiversity, you know? Because maybe then you wouldn't lose 60% of your irrigation to water runoff because your soil doesn't fucking absorb anything. So instead of storing the water in the dams, we could store the water in the soil. Say it with me. We don't need to build more dams. We need to build biodiversity. We don't need to build more dams. We need to build biodiversity. We don't need to build more dams. We need to build biodiversity. Here's another one. Oh my God, no! No!
When we last left our jam-making adventure, mishap, the pot hath bubbled over. But on this rainy day, the day was saved by transferring it to a new pot so canning could continue as per usual. The jam was hot ladled into jars, and only one jar did not make it through the night. Overall, the jam was a rip-roaring success and a perfect gift for all I love. Violets. We found a friend in my freaking parents' suburban backyard. Very frustrating. But my sister and I went out and harvested a ton of violets today. We'll be making violet syrup and a beautiful cake, so stick around for that.
Let's call some worms.
Violet syrup, here we go. So you gotta de-petal all your flowers. Put them in a French press. Put nice purified water in there, let it soak 24 hours. You get this nice purple tea. Equal parts sugar, so if you had a cup of violets, use a cup of sugar to make your syrup. Don't let it boil. Put it in a jar. Should keep for about a year. Great in pastries. Alright, so a lot of folks are making violet syrup this spring, which is amazing. But when I first made violet syrup, I was like, what do I even do with this stuff? You can't use it in cocktails and things like that. But my sister and I made a really lovely cake that had violet syrup both inside of it and within the mascarpone filling. In part 2, we'll decorate this cake. This is the violet cake. Quick recap, there is violet syrup within the cake, within the filling, within the whipped cream. We're also drizzling violet syrup on top of the cake itself. We stacked all these strawberries in there very prettily. Mascarpone cheese filling on top of that. More violet syrup on top of that cake. Slapped it together, and then look at this. It's so gorgeous. Ah! Beautimous. Whipped cream on top. Homemade whipped cream at that. And then I went out to the yard to pick some ground ivy, which was disapproved of as a topping because it's a little too spicy. But we did end up putting more violets on top of there and a few clovers. The quick was cake. The cake was quickly devoured. Hello, Jay's sister and baker extraordinaire here. That cake recipe was the strawberry mascarpone tea cake from King Arthur Flour. I got it from a magazine, but I bet it's online somewhere. So,
is it legal to scatter local seeds in your neighborhood? Let's check in at our police department.
Yeah, they seem pretty cool with it. Here's all the seeds I scattered 6 to 8 months ago. This joke took a really long time to pay off, and it looks even better in real life. Check out the how-to in my other videos.
I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice.
Frank, what the hell are you doing, man?
That's my character. I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring. And then I start eating garbage. And then I pick up the trash can and I smash the guy on the head.
Oh, that's gonna be a disaster.
No, nobody's gonna get hurt. I'm telling you, it's like you said, it's all fake.
But it has nothing to do with the troops, Frank. A 60-year-old man eating trash? Who wants to see that?
No, but that's
dried Granny Smith apples, and this is some apple butter I made to make like an apple pie oatmeal. It was so good. I powdered those reishi and shiitake mushrooms and I added them to my coffee blend. That is some brine from the fermented beets that I put into these funny little breads. It's also, those beets are great on pasta or in wraps with cream cheese. The boys love to try and steal. Part.
You don't want beets, buddy. Promise.
The only thing I've actually preserved recently was I smoked a bunch of shaved steak and I'm dehydrating it.
It did this crazy first initial.
So what am I going to do with all that food? Well, I made kraut. I'm dehydrating the shiitake and reishi mushrooms. I am making cheese with all the milk and the lemons. That's lemon juice right there. Which is an actually really nice ricotta. It's really good. I'm lacto-fermenting the beets and turnips. I'm using the black tea and sugar to re-up my kombucha in my fancy new kombucha jar. I turned the tangerines and mangoes into jam, and I added cinnamon to that and spiced orange peel.
So that's